Hello everybody, welcome to Ciconia no Naku Koroni, translated meaning when the Ciconias cry, better known as Ciconia, when they cry. I never thought I'd be able to say that. Like, even when playing the demo, it felt kind of surreal. Like, is When They Cry 5 really here? I never thought it would come. Like, I finished Umineko early 2015, I believe? And when I finished, I was like, okay, that was cool. We're never gonna get When They Cry 5. And I legitimately thought that for a couple years. And it kept getting delayed and delayed. And I was like, oh, it's never gonna happen. It happened. It's here. I'm a couple of days late. It's the 6th, right? Well, it just turned the 6th. It's like 2 a.m. And I am ready. So, one thing I noticed. Going in the archive, I went ahead and skipped to where I was last time. Also, cool song. There's no data fragments. So I don't know if those two were read in the second demo, just come at a later point, or if they just aren't here. So I skipped to where the demo ended. I accidentally skipped a line. This is what we call Dome Next Barrel, or sometimes Kennedy's Powder Keg. So I'm not sure, is this chapter 2? Higurashi and Umineko had very clear chapter ends, but there wasn't anything like that here. So I don't know. So anyway, we're here with, presumably where they're teaching Meow, Warcat and Team Canada. That's their name, Team Canada. After saying this, the instructor wrote Kennedy's Powder Keg on the electronic blackboard behind him, and an illustration that resembled a keg appeared. Both the letters in the illustration were drawn very poorly. The students all giggled. The instructor was teaching while walking amongst the students' seats, his hands clasped behind him. Though the blackboard was far away from him, he was directly drawing and writing on it. He was using a brainwave input device, also called a mental tablet. Once, we needed hands to manipulate the writing tools. Keyboards and equipment needed to leave records. However, humanity in this world had gained the ability to not only write letters, but even draw pictures without using their hands. What do you mean, in this world? Who's narrating here? Is it Rikishi? Is it... Okay, I want to clarify something. I will not be spoiling Higurashi or Umineko, but there's 3 characters who I'm gonna acknowledge from past works. Okanogi, obviously, because, like, it's, I guess you could call it a spoiler. He's in Higurashi and Umineko. Knowing his name in Higurashi could be like a small spoiler. In Umineko, he's just like a character that appears. Like, there's a million of those in Umineko. Other 2, Burn Castle and Lambda Delta. There's, technically 1, arguably 2 in Higurashi that I could name that are relevant. I'm not going to. There's 1 that I think is very relevant, 1 that isn't really relevant. It's hard to talk about without spoiling. I think you guys probably have a good idea of who I mean. Anyway, I'm just going to acknowledge Burn Castle and Lambda exist. Are they the ones narrating this? Because we know they're going to be here when something else cries. So, I don't know. This could just be Rikishi narrating. I doubt it. Anyway, humanity in this world gained the ability to not only write letters, but even draw pictures without using their hands. However, no matter the device, only the young can use it to full capacity when it's brand new. So the aged instructor still wasn't used to it, leading to these rough letters and drawings that didn't suit his high upbringing and education at all. As you can see, the keg is a cylindrical... Is that a cylindrical? Container that made of several boards bound together. Also, we have, like, who's talking, which is nice. That's something you see in standard begins, but not in, novel mode. It's either novel or adventure, I get them mixed up. Since my drawing is so pathetic, I ask that all of you who lack an imagination do an image search. You can have a tablet in your brain, then of course you have a display there too. Some of the more serious students did a serious search for the word keg, which was displayed as an image inside their brains. So this kind of seems like a replacement for the first data fragment. I wonder if we're still getting that. Those less serious were using their mental displays to watch TV, play games, or else chat with their friends in virtual rooms. Nearby people had no way of telling what someone was looking at in their mental display. Also, if you wanted to chat with your friends, there's no need to move your mouth. You could use mental transmissions to talk without speaking. And so both the serious and non-serious students gave birth to an ideal environment for themselves. Kennedy's powder keg represents the gunpowder of conflict. Sealed in a container where the military efforts of each individual country form the boards. Then a red line was drawn on the picture of the keg on the blackboard. One of the boards was removed, leaving a gap. Now, however, what if just one board was short and left a gap? Naturally, everything inside the keg would pour out. Kennedy's powder keg tells us that if even a single country fails in its military efforts for the sake of peace, the gunpowder of conflict will pour out from there and explode. Once, military power had been necessary to protect the safety of one's nation. In every nation, in every era, young people who take on the responsibility of protecting their country have been praised for their patriotism and service to the state. They're like white blood cells in the human body. No one will ever find anything odd about praising them. However, after massive losses caused by the 2 world wars and a Cold War brought about by nuclear weapons, and particularly, I thought there was a 3rd World War. I thought that was mentioned. Either on the website or in-game, I forget. Or maybe this is leading to that. And particularly... hold on. Let me take a drink. There's something caught in my teeth. And I can ignore it, hopefully. Particularly after the advancement of data storage techniques that allowed the inhumanities of war to be seen far and wide over and over again. Some of humanity had developed what might be called a war allergy. Then when the Great Depression at the end of the 21st century kicked off, a fierce economic downturn... Hey, say what? Well, hopefully I'll be dead by then. People in countries around the world started talking seriously about reducing military spending. Taking advantage of that, pacifists began a major global campaign. That movement received an international tailwind, gaining heavy support from people across the world, made poor by a social security system that had been crushed by the Depression. Certain politicians played to the masses and rode this tailwind, building up bases of support all over the planet. They spoke pleasant-sounding words of world peace and love for all humanity, leading the charge for unilateral disarmament in certain countries and earning wide acclaim. That's not a real language, right? All over the world, videos were shared of soldiers returning their medals and leaving the army, claiming that being a soldier was a shameful way to serve one's country. The first few who started this boom were praised by the press. Many clamored to have them nominated for the Barnard Peace Prize. Wait. Burn. I'm on to you. The whole world praised this as a beautiful story, one that would encourage all who have suffered under the Great Depression. Every day, the news told stories of countless soldiers leaving armies as an act of self-criticism against the military, to the applause of the people. And, okay, so there's a lot of images. The budget for this is actually very high. Like, I complained about the $40 price mark. I kind of thought in the demo they'd just be using like a lot of generic stuff they'd keep using, which probably isn't wrong. But if this keeps up, does it justify Phase 1 costing the same as like Little Busters or like Grisaya or Steins Gate? Or how much is Steins Gate? I don't know. No. But it makes a good case for it. Anyway, and it allowed into showing stories of tanks and fighter jets being scrapped, giving the numbers for how much that it saved in construction and maintenance costs, figuring that how many babies could be fed with the same funds. It was a global disarmament boom, so how did this go wrong? If all neighboring countries had to reduce their militaries at the same time, this would have been a wonderful thing, but who didn't do it? Come on, America, it wasn't you, right? However, as the prisoner's dilemma suggests, strategies that baselessly assume that your partner will act with benevolence are less than ideal in affairs between nations. This resulted in an extremely tilted military balance across several national borders around the world. At the time, national leaders who disarmed unilaterally were lauded as pioneers of world peace and given several international awards. However, in the current A3W era, still don't know what that means, their reputation had done a 180. They were condemned for abandoning their support of the walls of peace that separated countries, and accused of the sin of negligence in their duties towards world peace. Provide a deterrent, right? to arms races and security dilemmas, while enshrouding the gunpowder of war by maintaining suitable military balance between all countries. This is the philosophy of the IPMA, the International Peace Mediation Association. That's a shuns there. And it is how a healthy military balance preserves world peace. World War III had several causes, but some likened it to a human body, where a nutrient imbalance had triggered a great illness. This led to the concept of world peace preserved by a healthy military balance. For example, Japan once polished rice because it tasted better than that way, which led to a vitamin deficiency and a disease called beriberi. Is that an actual thing? They removed the bad-tasting bran, but they didn't realize that it contained vital nutrients. That bran is like a military might. I have never heard of this. True, military might does have a violent and inhumane side to it. Any humanitarian can claim that it tasted bad. However, when they polished it off and threw it away, it resulted in a fatal nutrient deficiency for certain nations. Where military might only exist on some sides and not others, it's easy to enter an irreversible situation. It's like trying to climb a mountain without a safety line. You'll be fine as long as nothing happens, but if something unexpected occurs, there won't be anything left to support you. One of World War III's other causes, populism, led to increasing friction between neighboring countries and placed a lot of pressure on border regions. That wouldn't have been a problem if those borders, those walls of peace, had been supported on both sides. However, whenever one side... Wow, Woodchuck, you made a typo? $40 for one typo? I can't believe it. You're forced to support these walls. They fell over easily, finding a situation that couldn't be undone. I mean, how much text is it? A couple typos is expected. Or, that is a typo, right? Whenever one side, yeah. I imagine that will get fixed whenever. I don't know how often they do like a typo fix. But I know they happen with most visual novels, at least on Steam. Military might is an element that tastes bitter to humanity. We have chosen to view it as a mineral, a micronutrient necessary for the body to function. Everyone knows that if you pile up zinc and iron and how do you say that one? It's manganese on a table and eat it, it'll be harmful to your health. However, these are essential nutrients that you can't afford to be deprived of. You need to continue ingesting them in suitable quantities. The same way, a nation's military might needs to be maintained to a suitable degree to bring about healthy relationships between countries. Or so they say. As a result, military might was viewed in a different light in the A3W era, as a micronutrient for nations. The tendency to think of soldiers as murderers and enemies of peace was done away with. After all, soldiers of your country were fundamentally war buddies, even as soldiers in neighboring countries, as they all worked together to support the walls of peace. The social rank of soldiers rose, and the world became one in which children didn't hesitate to say they wanted to become soldiers when they grew up. I mean, I know a couple kids like that in school. I mean, I guess Japan's kind of a different place than America, though, right? Or everywhere is a different place than America. When I was a kid, there was a kid who, I think he was in the same grade as me. He said he wanted to join the military and shoot a lot of people. And like 10-year-old me was like, dude, what is wrong with you? I didn't say that though, because like, he's kind of a mean kid and you know, I didn't want to like get on his bad side. Anyway, random story I just remembered. Soldiers no longer existed for the purpose of defeating their opponents. They were redefined as servants of international peace, who protected not only their own country, but also their country's neighbors. They supported the walls between countries, preparing for unexpected situations in nearby nations that even those nations wouldn't have wanted, preventing them from developing into something irreversible. Even the closest spouses and friends fight sometimes. Soldiers who supported the walls of peace were like cushions wedged in the middle of fights like that, preventing a fatal situation from developing so that everyone could laugh it off and forgive each other in the end. Oh, this is a new character. He's not a soldier, or he's not a member of like, I don't know how to, oh yeah, I wanted to check, we don't have a character log, do we? There wasn't one in the demo, so okay. It's kind of hopeful, but humans really are crazy, huh? Oh, another new character. Neither of these were on the official website. Think so? Two people who look very different from those students watched this lecture through their mental display. So initial thoughts. One, she's very lewd, and I'm assuming she's from Egypt. Because that's what all of this means to me. Also, I can't tell if those are jeans or jean shorts, but like, you might as well commit, right? Like, why? Like, just commit to the outfit at that point. Also, lewd. Those existing somehow make it lewder than if they didn't exist. I don't know why that happens that way. But anyway, this guy, like, I can't. What is that? I don't know. He has a lot of belts. And zippers. What is that zipper zipping? Is that a pocket? Who knows? This is a really cool song, though. Two people who look very different from those. I already said that. They seem to be amusing themselves with it, rather than attending it. This music instantly makes me think they're antagonists. I mean, whenever organisms gather together, it's to increase their chances of survival, right? In other words, they gain enough military might to protect themselves against outward foes. Isn't rejecting something like that basically sacrilege against the miracle of life on this planet? No. I wasn't trying to criticize people for praising strong militaries. Oh, you weren't? Then what are you trying to say? I don't care if you criticize or praise militaries. As you said, Grandmaster, military power is a natural right you have as a life form to increase the odds of your survival. It's also a natural obligation you have for the sake of protecting your descendants who cannot protect themselves. But at the same time, it's also a double-edged sword that can hurt both you and your neighbors. So whenever you criticize it or worship it, you should always continue debating and searching for a better way to exist. So whether you criticize. So what's most important is having people debate all the time? Isn't debate just a means you use to reach an end? You know, you can guide the common man if your means become your ends. True, debate can easily lead to wasting time. It's not a good idea to gradually work out a solution when we've got an urgent and pressing issue to deal with. I'm just trying to explain how unpleasant these extreme changes are, and how it's just as unpleasant when nothing changes at all. Right up until World War III, military might was viewed as evil. Their culture was such that every politician, philosopher, musician, and artist went on and on about love and peace, how they needed to throw away their weapons because militaries were the shame of humanity. It was a world where even whispering about the need for military power on social media would be enough to get someone accused of blasphemy against peace and socially murdered. However, even though humanity disliked military might, that didn't mean they've abandoned their dislike for other races. As a result, the door to World War III was opened not by militaries maintained by nations, but by selfish, military actions by individual people with self-righteous ideals. Now that's totally flipped around, with everyone saying, "Long live the military, thank you troops, I'm going to grow up to be a great soldier who protects his country and world peace." Yeah, that is pretty extreme. Hilarious, in fact. And now, if you imply that militaries are immoral in any way, the whole world will call it blasphemy against peace and ostracize you. At first, it seems to be the exact opposite of what they did before, but they're basically doing the same thing. Differing opinions are aggressively silenced, and no one has the guts to actually discuss the issue. The mind of the masses is like a single bit of data. You mean it can only ever be 0 or 1? Yeah, that's it. Are you on the far right side or the far left? They can't see anything besides that. Because that's all their mind can hold, they aren't capable of debate, they aren't receptive or clever enough to accept a position that's different from theirs. If you want to strengthen that one-bit person, there's no choice but to train them. Right? I'll bet that training would be pretty harsh for those one-bits. By training the one-bits, must have meant the act of letting differing opinions collide in debates. However, no matter which time period you look at, history doesn't record many people capable of tolerating differing opinions in the name of diversity. Whether it's religions, ideologies, or how you like your eggs cooked. I mean, sunny side up, obviously. The world is full of people incapable of accepting diversity. After all, even people who claim to be for diversity are unable to accept the existence of people who dispute that belief. It's not at all an easy thing to do. People care together with those who share their own views, exterminating all opposing views. That's what debate means to humanity now, as it approaches the 10 billion person mark once again. Okay, I could do the math to find out what year this takes place in, but it doesn't matter. It's sometime after the 21st century. Because are we set to hit 10 billion in 2050? Or what number are we going to hit in 2050? A number. 8 billion? Seems like a long time. Since we're like at 7 now? Anyway, I'll stop rambling. I need a ramble counter for this. It's been like this since before the time of Rome. Sometimes, kings urge their subjects to take part in debate. However, the 1 bits never managed to count to anything but 0 or 1. Still, in my opinion, you stop thinking and debating, you aren't even human anymore. You really are a warrior, aren't you? Very well, I shall grant you the title 8-bit. You honor me, Grandmaster. People can't do anything but advance in a direction that's been decided for them. Showing people where to go is what a king does. If you're waiting for the common man to gain enough intelligence to take part in debate, I'm afraid the sun will probably burn out first, right? Even so, I want to have faith in people. What if people didn't get kicked around by the consensus? Going forward when they say forward, stopping when they say stop, and going left and right when they tell you to. What if everyone could have their own opinions, debate them together, and accept each other? What if then, you looked around and saw that everyone accepted everyone else, and then everyone else was moving in the same direction? I hope a miracle like that will occur someday. It might not happen until the day before the sun burns out and the globe is covered with ice, but I believe we will make it in time. Yeah! Woo! Jet, Mizoguchi lost. Come on, isn't judo supposed to be Japan's specialty? Last year, I met power harassment scandal through the association into chaos. So are they just like flipping the channel now? Get out of that instructions class. We're in judo now. Last year, power harassment scandal through the association into chaos. Guess this means I win. Several numbers appeared in their virtual space, and the numbers on... How do you say that? Sashot? Sashot's side decreased and were added to Tojiro's side. This time they were watching a broadcast of the International Battle Standard Festival of Peace. It's a celebration of peace, where countless young people displayed the techniques and hard work they had built up for the sake of this day. However, to the middle-aged people casually gazing at it, it was merely something to compliment a drink or to bet on. Ciconia when they cry. So that's the end of chapter 1? I guess I can see why they cut that. Gives a totally different feel to Ciconia after reading that. Oh? A triangular, luxuriously designed table was lit by a faint light. Is this... Are we in chapter 2 or is this something in between? I'm gonna keep going. Normally I'd call it just for the sake of keeping chapters with chapters. Like, I want to try to make it a chapter per video, so, but I kind of feel like this is like, maybe setting up for data fragments, or a data fragment in itself, I don't know. So let's give it a couple minutes, see how it goes. A triangular, luxuriously designed table was lit by a faint light. Till your eyes adjusted to the darkness, you wouldn't be able to see anything else. Then, a white hand suddenly stretched into that darkness. That hand was holding a small bag with gold embroidery. Open it. As you wish. In that case. Oh! We have, Is there a name for the eye and triangle? Right. I think... Horus? The Eye of Horus? Is that a thing? But that's just what my fate knowledge is telling me. I'm pretty sure. The contents of the bag were laid out on the table. It was 3 coins. 2 of them were gold, and 1 was silver. Always keep your eyes open. After all, you people will never know when that day, That time will come. It's Vier Dreissig. It mentioned his name last time. And I looked it up. I don't think... I'll have to look it up with his full name. But it translates to a number. I'm 90% sure it translates to a number, which is... Hold on, no, my keyboard. I put my keyboard over there. I'll look it up after this video. What am I looking at here? Oh. Okay, I'll call it there. Hold on, let's go to the... title back. I want to see if there's data fragments now. He's like, what happened to those two? Are those, like, I guess they're only the demo ones? Yeah, they're not here. It's funny. Or maybe we just get them way later on. But that... I can see them not putting in that Okanogi one. Depending on the tone they want to set. I was kind of expecting the first, like, half to be kind of, like, humorous like Higurashi is. And then, you know, tone shift. We're killing each other now. Like Higurashi and Umineko do. And maybe it won't be all humor, maybe... I don't know. We'll find out next time. When I assume we're going to the festival? I'll see you guys then. Bye.